Okay, here we go. I think we are live on Instagram, YouTube. I think we're all set. All right. Today's topic, let's see, how are we doing? How's everybody doing? Can everyone see me and hear me okay? We're going to get started in about 1 minute. We're going to talk about modern dating in our Arab communities and how to create more healthy relationships. This live, I've just noticed, as an elder in the community, I can say I've just noticed a lot of the young people, the younger generation, both in my practice personally and professionally, really struggling in maintaining or even establishing healthy relationships. Many of you are choosing to be alone or be single, and I have a whole video on Arab and being single. This is not a space to pathologize that. However, I do see amount of loneliness that comes from the isolation. Some people relish in it. Other people maybe want more relationship or community or romantic partnership, yet they may be terrified for lots of reasons. So let's see, where is everyone coming in from? Let's see, let me connect to who is on the line. Let's see, anybody? One of the questions I'm going to ask all of you as people are starting to hop on the live is this. How many of you make your dating decisions influenced by what your family may think? This is just a reflection question. Because there may be new people on the platform, before I want to recognize there's no single Arab experience. We all know this, that when we have people joining us from over 20 countries, different religions, different generations, people living in the Middle East, Europe, Australia, North America, and beyond. I would say this live may have more of a lens of an Arab American, full disclosure. So for those that a lot of this content may not resonate, because I am speaking from Arab, perhaps living in the diaspora. I think there may be nuances there. We recognize that some families are traditional, others may be more liberal. Some people were raised deeply connected to the culture. Others are reconnecting after years of feeling distance from it. Today isn't about saying there's one right way or wrong way to date. It's about understanding the cultural forces that may shape how you view dating. Okay, so this platform isn't about the answers, because we're all figuring it out. There's no real roadmap. This is about understanding and awareness of you and how this topic relates to you. Okay. All right. Let's see. Anyone chiming in? Anyone? Where are people coming in from? Let's see. No, nobody. Okay, it's quiet. Looks like we don't have that many people on the live today. That's all right. Let's see. Here's a question. How can I tell my mom is a good way to tell mom? Okay. All right. Well, let me get started. We have to remember within many of our Arab communities that dating doesn't start with dating. One of the biggest differences between Arab culture and many Western cultures is that relationships rarely involve only two people. Now, we know in many Western cultures, dating often is viewed as two individuals deciding whether they're compatible or not and then coming together. Well, within our Arab cultural context, in many families, even before marriage enters the conversations, people may already be thinking about, will our families get along? What will people think? Are they from a respected family? What is their education, religion, financial stability, tribe, village, nationality, sect, reputation? And so even when no one says these things out loud, they often exist quietly in the background. So I don't know how many of you, as you start to date or you start to think about dating, that these things aren't in the back of your mind. Okay, well, the family's going to get along. Oh gosh, what are people going to think of him or her or them? All the different ruminating thoughts that come with that. So even though we may not say it out loud, some families say it out loud, they often exist quietly in the background for you. And if it is, that's very normal within our cultural context. Oh my God, here we go. Can we please flag comments? We already have, okay, this is why I'm getting off TikTok. Oh my gosh, where is Mira when I need her? I'm getting off TikTok. Hey, for the record, everybody, I'm getting off TikTok. We're done with TikTok. Khalas, it's okay. Did this guy, what? Hi, Crystal. Hi, Habibti. Habibti, can you help me? Mira's on vacation. And this Hamar, wallahi, I swear, fi Hamir, and I don't like to use that word, but yes, it's, yes, I'm Arab. Yes, I'm Arab and I'm Palestinian American. Let me introduce myself. Sorry. Okay, we're already starting with a crash out. Okay. For those of you that are new to this platform, my name is Tiffany Tota. I'm a marriage and family therapist. I've been in practice for about 25 years. I'm a Palestinian American. My experience working within our Arab cultural context expands widely. And so with that said, thank you, Lena, for reporting the Hamad. I appreciate you. So for those of you that are new here, you could see I do not tolerate disrespect, people discussing things that they have no clue about and judging people. And I think the Zios found me. Okay, the Zios found me. All right, here we go. Let's block the boy. Walak inta oskat. Oh my God, I'm getting off TikTok. I cannot wait. The Zios found me. All right, here we go. Yeah, let's not engage these people. Okay, this live, there's a lot of energy whirling. Let me ground. So for those that are joining the live that would like to have some awareness around modern dating, this space is for you. Everyone else, this space is not for you. So I suggest you remove yourself. If you're going to be disrespectful to me as a woman, disrespectful to any of the women in the comments, for any of the men here that are thinking that they're going to try and emulate some masculinity on this program, probably not the right place. You can criticize my looks, my gray hair, my glasses, my age, and I can tell you, I don't care. But I address it and I do the public shaming as an example to the younger generation of women. Do not put up with this shit, ever. When people disrespect you, you can stay silent, walk away, don't engage, because men can be violent, and certain people are unwell. But I also want you to know not to internalize it, because the beautiful thing about social media is that it strengthens who you are because you're dealing with very unwell people. This is why my entire platform is getting off of social media, and we've got this, we're got a whole new community to avoid this level of negativity and toxicity. This is a place for learning, growing, and awareness. And most people are addicted to information, yet they are allergic to change. And by the comments, you can see we have many human beings on this journey who are lacking any level of curiosity to reflect within themselves and ask, how am I moving in this space? How are you moving in this space? Now, you coming into my space, trying to put down Palestine, we don't exist, that will never fly in here, okay? Never. So don't even think about it. What's happening in the Middle East is a travesty as a result of ignorant, limited, arrogant human beings that cannot even look within themselves and say, how am I contributing to love and compassion versus this Hamad? And why is he still here? When it comes to Palestine, don't even play. Okay? Don't even play. All right. Let's take a minute and ground ourselves. Let me ground myself. That's every once in a while, you'll have the khalto crash out. And this was one of them. Okay. Yes, Crystal, I'm breathing, Habibti. But you also have to remember, we don't want to negate people's emotional expression. Okay. All right. Who's ready to talk about modern dating and our Arab culture? Let's see. Can I have a hand? Maybe a hand. How many people are ready to talk about this topic? Now, all right. All right, Claudia, Lena, Buyu, yes, the user. Okay, let's talk about it. Serene, hi, Habibti. Okay, you guys ready? Let's talk about dating. All right, everyone else? All right, here we go. Let me start over. So we know that dating doesn't start with just dating, that many of you may have in the back of your mind that it's not the way Western cultures view dating, where two people decide, they hang out, they decide over time that this is what they want to do. In Arab culture, or in many Arab families, even before marriage enters the conversation, you may already be thinking, how am I going to do this? For many of you, dating is not even allowed. How many of you dating is allowed? Is dating allowed? I know when I was growing up, dating was not allowed. You either met a guy, the families sort of had an agreement, and then you met once or twice, maybe 3 times, and then there was an engagement, and then you will get married. For many of you, yeah, we have some people are allowed. I'm in my 30s. I live in the Gulf, Arab Gulf. Okay, definitely not allowed. Nope, it wasn't. Okay, so even for the younger generation, yeah, not allowed. Arranged mostly. Okay, Hassan, Hamza. Okay, so it's interesting that even from a generational perspective, that there's still this idea that dating is not allowed. So for you, it's going to be very important how terrifying it could be. Dating. If you have no permission to date and now you're expected to date, right? Let's see. Some people say allowed. Okay. All right. So even when no one says this out loud, you may be thinking, how am I going to choose a partner? How am I going to meet someone if I can't date? Now, your family may say, we'll introduce you to someone, we will choose your partner. And that could be terrifying, especially if you have a complicated relationship with your family. Okay. If you have a complicated relationship with your family, this could be very, very challenging. Okay. Now, how many of you base your dating decisions on being influenced by what your family may think? How many of you base your dating decisions on what your family may think? So even if you were thinking about meeting someone, how much of that is influenced by your family? Let's see, anybody? Let's see, we've got lots of comments here. Yeah, random TikToks. Yep, Crystal, Lynn's. Let's see. Claudia made a very good point. She wrote, my dad passed away in 2018 and it still influences me. Yeah. Okay. Okay, very good. So there are these invisible rules that many of you have learned growing up, that you were never explicitly taught how to date. So we absorbed messages such as girls may hear, don't be too available, protect your reputation, don't bring shame to the family, good girls don't date, marriage is security. I know I heard that a lot, even though I was accomplished and successful in my career. You're not secure until you have a husband. Don't be too much. So creating this persona to be acceptable to future partners. For the gentleman, you may hear, This is a huge one nowadays. Be successful first. Don't show vulnerability. Be the provider. Handle everything yourself. Don't cry. Don't disappoint your parents. Now, while these in and of themselves are, I understand that this is part of how Arab men were taught to be, yet to be successful first and the demands of the amount of materialism that we're seeing in the dating world, at least from my perspective, I don't know how any young man who wants to get married can compete with the amount of demands that come with dating. It's a lot. I think if I can put a plug in, I think we've moved away from a man and a woman or two individuals, two partners building a life together to he has to have everything first. So we've lost this idea that in a marriage, in a healthy marriage, you're building something ma'bad. Okay. So for the banat, I can spend another 6 hours talking about this. If the young man has integrity, values that are in alignment with yours, makes you feel safe, and he may not have can't buy you the Mercedes out the gate, or can't buy you the BMW and the $100,000 wedding, wabsar and all these demands, yet he has the potential in growing his business and growing his craft, whatever he's doing. I'm going to encourage you to maybe set aside some of this materialism, this intense materialism we're seeing, and give some gentlemen a chance. Now, with that said, neither set of these messages that we receive growing up teach us about emotional intimacy. Instead, many of us are experts in performance. Many of you, when you're dating, you may be performing who you think the potential partner would want versus who you actually are, so that they could see the real you, which is what happens when people are married. When people get married, then they're faced with the reality of who their true partner is, and then lots of conflicts occur. Now, we don't know how to appear like the ideal. We know how to appear like the ideal partner. We don't always know how to be emotionally known. Okay, so let's reflect on that. I'm going to ask all of you, what's been the biggest challenge you faced while dating as an Arab person? What's one of the biggest challenges you have faced? Anybody want to share? What are some of the challenges being Arab and dating? Are we streaming on Instagram? I don't even know. No one's commenting. Let me see. Finding another Muslim with the same deen ratio. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Not finding comfortable space to date. Oh, okay. Boyu, I would like to hear more about that. Not finding comfortable space to date. If you can give me a little more context, I think that's very interesting. Let's see. People have religious guilt. That is a big one that we're going to talk about that. Now, I can't read in Arabic. If you can say a little bit more about the religious guilt, because I know that happens a lot when it comes to sex and virginity and our purity culture and what that looks like, that if you had or back and forth, people are like, I'm going to hell. Somebody touched me and I got stimulated. Being judged. Yes. Huda, if people see you with a man, it's like a disaster. Right. So they emphasize all this coupledom and being together, and you need to get married, yet is wahda is with a guy hanging out, having a cup of coffee. They flip out. Correct. I agree. Let's see. Lack of communication, lack of understanding each other in general. Yes. Very good call out. That's what I was speaking to earlier about, we're taught the facade, but we're not taught emotional intimacy, vulnerability. These are the things that that are important in any type of relationship. So why do so many Arab, at least in my experience as a clinician, what I see, feel torn? Now, many people experience guilt no matter what they choose. So this idea of Arab guilt is very much a part of this shame culture that we have, that no matter what you choose, you may have a certain amount of guilt. If you choose your family, you may feel like you're abandoning yourself. If you choose yourself and you choose a partner that you care about, you may feel like you're abandoning your family. And so this creates this chronic internal conflict within people, not because you're weak, not because there's something wrong with you. It's because within our collectivist culture, it teaches us that belonging is about survival. So if you move outside of that, historically, it makes a lot of sense. Communities survive through this interdependence. We talk about that a lot, and we don't want to negate that. Yet families, your identity may be deeply connected to your family, yet their values may not be in alignment with yours. Now they may be choosing a partner for you, if that's the case for some of you, and you're terrified because you don't even necessarily get along with your family, and now they're going to pick your lifelong partner. And usually people pick based on the values that they see as important, and that can create a lot of challenges in people's marriages. Now, I want to acknowledge to the younger generation, and this is where my hope is this platform will offer somewhat of a roadmap. Many of you are dating without a roadmap. You learn to get good grades, build careers, take care of other people. But how many of you were taught how to choose a healthy partner, communication through conflict, or building emotional intimacy? Okay. So when you don't have a roadmap and you're going into this dating world solo on this journey, that may make you extremely vulnerable to challenging relationship dynamics. And so in many Arab families, dating, as many of you have articulated in the comments, wasn't modeled or openly discussed. If anything, the binit or the guy that was dating outside the culture were shamed. Oh, bintay, shuftuha. He thought she was, dating was seen as shameful, or you were. Now we have harsh language sometimes, which I'll refrain from saying, but I've heard some horrible things said about young women in particular who were dating, and they were just doing normal things, getting to know someone, which is a natural process in trying to find your life partner. Now, relationships went from, so again, this might be generational, family introductions. So you were introduced to somebody, or there's an engagement to marriage with little conversation about, is this, okay, they say, oh, hita mniha, and then the list. Okay, she's a good girl. Okay, helwa, all the list. The guy, oh, he's financially stable, absar shu, and then they give the list. And then nobody's asking, is this couple emotionally compatible? Does each family respect one another's boundaries? How does I have seen, I'm going to put the Arab men on the hot seat for a minute. Not all Arab men, but I have seen Arab young men being engaged to an Arab young woman who was abusive to her, condemned the family, verbally abusive, condemned family. Wala hada hako ishi. Not one person, including myself, because I was younger. It was traumatizing as a child. And you see, she's crying. And you have that one auntie in her face like this, and you have the people berating her, and then Khatib has next to her going, doing this. And I'm thinking, oh, Arab marriage looks wonderful, right? How many of you have had that? Now, experience of saying, this is not well. So when you think about a partner, right? How do they resolve conflict? Can each person be vulnerable, okay, around what their wants are, what their needs are? And many times the couple, before they even get to the aisle, or the different marriage ceremonies, they already hate each other because the families have caused so much conflict within their coupledom, and nobody's talking about how to resolve it. So if dating wasn't something you saw, or any examples of healthy dating, or you weren't allowed to have this experience, how would you know how to navigate that as an adult? Or if you only had poor modeling of what that was, and then you're wondering why you're not interested in this. So let me ask the question again. If dating wasn't something you saw or were allowed to experience, how would you know how to navigate it as an adult? Any comments? How would you guys navigate it? So that's one of the things I let most of anybody that I'm working with or family members, I'm like, you're shaming yourself for not knowing how to date, yet what examples were we given? How did we know? And I say that to my younger self, who got involved with so many terrible relationships. And I thought, geez, Louise, if I had somebody, an elder, who sat me down and said, Habibti, I want you to look for emotional compatibility, boundaries, how does he resolve conflict? How does he manage his stress? Is he able to communicate with you in a way that's healthy, not yelling, not screaming, not putting you down? So let me ask, and I'm going to do a lot of reflective questions because I don't have the answer. Let's see. Let me look at the comments. By the people be narcissism without even noticing. Okay, look, I hear what you're saying, Passionista. I really do. Yet we're not going to use the word narcissism. In fact, we have a collective humanity of narcissism as a result of social media. So we're going to remove that from this live, and I'm using this comment as a teaching moment because we use that term very loosely without really looking at the deep clinical implications of that, okay? Because again, it's a self-reflection. How am I exhibiting self-absorbed views? How to identify emotional safety versus emotional intensity? Now we talk about the passion of being Arab, and we're very demonstrative, and we're very dramatic, and we're very open, right? Okay. And so your nervous system may be accustomed to that emotional intensity. With that said, emotional safety may feel very awkward. So you may be drawn to the person that's going to match that emotional intensity you were raised with, yet what you may need is emotional safety, but that may not feel safe to your nervous system. Do you guys hear that? That someone who's healthy and whole may not feel safe to your overactive nervous system that is accustomed to emotional intensity. So I always tell people, you may meet your partner, your person, and they may make you feel safe and whole and at peace, and your nervous system may have you wanting to run for the hills because you're like, uh-oh, that's uncomfortable for me. I'm not used to that. So you may run towards what may feel comfortable for you. So emotional safety begins when you're with a partner or dating someone where, can I communicate my needs without guilt or fear? Can I disagree with someone respectfully without guilt or fear? How can I recognize red flags without expecting perfectionism? And this is something I see in the younger generation. Now, my generation, we took it too far. Like, we didn't expect anything from any person we were with. I'm not saying do that. Yet there's this demand that the guy needs to move in a certain way, or the woman needs to move in a certain way. And if they move outside of that, khalas, they're out. When this idea of having the perfect partner, you're going to suffer, because it's about how can you find someone that you can feel emotionally safe with, and then they can feel emotionally safe with you, and together you can grow through increasing your capacity to dealing with conflict and then building emotional intimacy. So this idea of expecting perfection, save a lot of money in your wedding budget for couples counseling, if that's what your expectation is. So you also want to find someone, this avoidance. I think as a culture, in my experience, we avoid difficult conversations. We don't talk about past wounds or hurts. We gloss it over with a plate of mahshi, right? Or we gloss it over masadi, or we pretend that whatever hurts happened don't exist. And so this tends to mimic in our romantic partnerships, where you may be conflict avoidant and you may not want to have a difficult conversation because you're terrified that this person may reject you or harm you. And that goes to that emotional intensity versus emotional safety. And you have to remember, and this is something my tete said to me, which was quite wise, and I didn't really understand what she meant. She said, love grows with time. Now, at the time, I was like, what? You either love him or you don't, tete. Yet I think what she meant to say was to build trust over time and not relying on chemistry alone. Now, you cannot build trust with somebody that you don't feel emotionally safe with, because that trust will constantly be violated. Do you guys hear that? So if you're with someone that's emotionally unsafe, oh, but I love him or I love her, that's fine. That's perhaps relying on the chemistry, versus that trust is in those micro moments. Can they follow through with what they say? Is this somebody that I could depend on, not in an unhealthy way, but do they mean what they say and say what they mean? Okay. Now, we inherited lots of rules around dating, yet we were not taught relationship skills. And that's what many of you, to build solid dating practices, begins with your own relationship. I'll talk a little bit later about that, relationship skills. We were told who we should marry, what people would think, how to protect the family's reputation, but we weren't all taught about compatibility. How do you navigate the differences and create a relationship where both people can grow together to feel seen and heard and respected? We weren't. How many of you, let me ask a question. How many of you in your own family systems had this type of modeling where there was a compatibility between your parents? They knew how to navigate differences. They gave you good modeling for creating a relationship of love and respect. How many of you have had that experience in your own family systems? Now, I know they're out there. Like I said, we're a very diverse culture with many, many diverse experiences. But let me see in the comments. Anybody? Let's see. How many of you? Let's see. Gosh, TikTok. Can't wait to get off this platform. Okay, let's see. Let's see. People are joining. Anybody want to share? Anybody had healthy modeling growing up with respect to your relationships? Who taught you how to date? Let's see. No? Anybody? Yeah. What did you learn watching the relationships around you? Let's talk about that. What did you learn? Okay. Barely any relationships. Thank you. Who else? Many of us did not have healthy modeling. So dating was not spoken of. Exactly. So are you making dating decisions based on fear? So if you're getting older, and I think one of the lies when I did Arab and Single, it was 20, I think you guys said 24 or 25, where you may be reaching for that partnership and you may not be emotionally ready because the fear of being the old person not married, or all your cousins got married and you're not married, the family expectation. So we often criticize, I've heard this a lot, we will criticize ourselves for struggling in relationships. And I said, but you're trying to navigate something you were never taught. So please offer yourself some gentleness around that. Dating is rarely about finding the right person. I don't want to hear that vocabulary. Oh, I need to find the right person. You can find many right people. Yet, what are the skills that many of you... Hold on, I think somebody's at my door. What is going on today? It's about learning the skills to develop a healthy relationship. And then the right person comes. When you are right within you, excuse me, and you have awareness of yourself, and you can look within about what triggers you, then the right person comes. The right person comes. Okay. Emotional intimacy. Okay, let's see. Let me keep going here. Let me see with the interest of time. So we know that in many Arab homes growing there, oh my God, what is wrong with me today? Many Arabs grew up in loving homes. We know that, but love wasn't always verbalized. So you may not necessarily be that partner that says to your partner, I love you, I'm proud of you, tell me how you're feeling. You may not have had that modeling. So your partner may be seeking that from you, yet you don't know how to give it because you don't know what that looks like. Okay. And so you may long for that emotional closeness. In fact, your partner may long for that emotional closeness, yet you never learned the language for it. So dating will become frustrating because you expect your partners to create something that neither of you have practiced. Or you may have a partner that's more emotionally attuned than you, and they may say, I need you to be more vulnerable. I need you to share with me more. And that partner may say, I have no idea what you're talking about. That was never in my familial experience. And so how can you navigate that together? Healthy relationships require emotional literacy, not just chemistry. So I will talk to young men and they will say they meet this woman. She's absolutely beautiful. She hits all the boxes of aesthetic pleasing to the Arab community. And he's like, yeah, I've got this chemistry with her. I'm sexually drawn to her. I think she's hot. I think this, and yet I don't connect with her. Like, well, because it's more than just chemistry. The chemistry may be nice for, I don't know, a couple weeks, a couple months, 6 months. After a while, your light will start to dim because you can't be in the fullness of who you are because you don't connect with this person emotionally. So why does dating feel so much harder today? I don't have all the answers. I'm not an expert in this. I'm an observer of patterns. Okay. Dating has always been challenging. I don't think that needs to be said. But for today's landscape, you have to remember the layers of previous generations. We didn't have to navigate half of what you guys are navigating. Too many choices. Back in my day, you had our community and you chose Wahad Min community. And there wasn't that many. I didn't. I did the opposite. But what I'm saying is too many choices. I think nowadays that swipe right, is it? Too many choices and not enough clarity. So dating apps create this illusion that someone better is one swipe away. And I'm thinking it's making it harder for people to invest in getting to know someone deeply. That takes time. But the moment the guy, oh, I don't know, wears the wrong shoes, or the gal says something, and then you get swiping right again. And that's going to keep you in this spiral of not deepening in intimacy with someone. I think a lot of times with today, with all this information, like I said earlier during my crash out, we have a lot of people who are addicted to information, yet allergic to change. And so we talk a good game about vulnerability. You got to be vulnerable, got to be vulnerable. And I'm like, well, how are you practicing this vulnerability? Not only to yourself, but to the people closest to you. Now, how many people carry unresolved hurt, betrayal, family trauma, attachment wounds? I would say a far majority of people are struggling out there. And instead of risking rejection, you keep these superficial relationships and leave at the first sign of discomfort. Now, if the person exhibits emotional safety and has try not to run, lean into that. When you didn't text me back right away, I was feeling vulnerable that you didn't want to be with me anymore. I rarely see vulnerability in the younger my generation, forget it. But for all this Instagram memes and everything you guys are learning, I don't really see that vulnerability practiced in real time. It's not a judgment. It's to look within yourself and ask, what do these concepts mean to me? You guys are all quite psychologically minded. That's great. Good. Yet, how many of you are weaponizing psychological terms to deflect from the work that you need to do within yourself to have the relationships that you want? Now, we know that social media creates these unrealistic expectations. I see the most incredibly lavish weddings, engagements, beautiful, something out of like Wedding Digest, And I thought, well, and I say this a lot, can a little bit of that budget go towards couples counseling? Because I know none of these couples have skills to navigate, because in fact, studies will show the bigger the wedding, the larger the wedding, the less satisfaction in marital outcomes. All right. Many of you have also received conflicting messages about relationships. That's where it's so confusing, right? I say the people are told you have to be independent, never settle, protect your peace, heal completely before dating, find your soulmate. All these things are leading you down a path where you may overthink every single interaction. Now, soulmate, you have to be your own soulmate in recognizing what's going to trigger you, what's not. And you may have many soulmates. Oh, I can't speak to that, but there's many people, you go through different seasons in your life. And so try not to get seduced into these memes and the social media nonsense of protect your peace. Peace has to come from within you. That person is protecting their peace. You're protecting your peace, and everybody's at war. Okay. So it is about, again, emotional literacy and how you work through conflict together and leaning into vulnerability with emotionally safe people. I cannot emphasize that enough. Also, communication has changed. We're having really lengthy conversations on text messages. Ismail, can I put a brief plug, please? As a therapist, I'm going to give you the inside scoop of what like we really think. All my clients know what I really think because I say it out loud. But I'm saying, if you're going to write this much in a text message, delete it and call the person. Go have lunch. Go, like, men have shown me text messages from women. I'm not exaggerating. I'm like this. I go, wait, this is still going. This text message, what is happening here? Did you read all this? Okay. Do not do that. Don't write this. That it's a phone call. It's a, hey, can we meet in person? So this texting, communicating through texting, well, it loses a lot of nuance, of tone. And if you're not healed, like if you're not aware of what your triggers are, you're going to assume you're going to have all kinds of text messaging mishaps, because the person could be like, hey, babe, nice to see, hey, I'll see you, later. And then you may hear it as something else. And that person's just saying, I'll see you later. Oh, he doesn't like me. He doesn't love me. He didn't put an emoji, an exclamation point, emoji heart. Okay. So also this idea of ghosting, like people you'll have 6, 7, 8, 9 dates, and then khalas, the person, you don't hear from them again. I'm like, what is happening here? So that's a sign of emotional immaturity. Okay. Now, I'm not saying there aren't cases where you just ghost because the person's unhinged and unwell. Yeah, you don't owe them that. We also have breadcrumbing. If I just give him just a little bit, or if I give her just a little bit, I'll keep them engaged. Okay. I guess I learned this word situationships. Well, we used to call that a booty call back in the day. Situation, see, mahlakum, you guys put nice words on thing, right? Situationships means a friend with benefits, but now you change the language to situationships. Again, I'm do you, but recognize situationships have replaced direct conversation. So you'll stay in this situationship expecting a relationship, yet there's no communication around that. What is this? And so you often avoid difficult conversations because disappearing feels easier. Situationships feel easier than really leaning into a deep relationship with someone. Okay. Let's see. All right, I'm not going to look at the comments because I'm sure they're going bananas. Okay, so the next piece, how are we doing on time? Oh my gosh, I might need a part 2. This goes back to the comment earlier about narcissism. Mental health awareness is increasing, which I'm very happy about, yet so is self-diagnosis. And we need to be really careful. Therapy language can be very valuable, yet terms like narcissist, toxic, avoidant, red flag are sometimes used way too quickly and shutting down curiosity and communication. So before you label someone as toxic, just take a moment and reflect back to you. What does that mean? How is this being handled? What is my part perhaps in this dynamic? Now, I'm not talking about abuse, okay? I'm talking about interactions with maybe someone you're dating. I'm not talking about abusive cases. Let me be curious. Was his behavior toxic, or was I internalizing it as toxic? Was she flirting with another guy, or is she just someone that has an exuberant presence that, but I'm interpreting as she's being flirty and disrespectful when maybe that's how she moves in the world? And can you honor her and respect her for that versus shitting on her or calling her negative names because of her light? Okay. Now, I know that people are waiting longer to settle down. Okay. You may want to prioritize your education, career, financial stability, and personal growth before committing. And that may change the timeline for relationships. And for parents, Arab parents, right? We said 24, 25, they start to get a little nervous if you're not engaged or married, but to take a look at what is going to be the most comfortable for you as far as your education. Now, if you have an emotionally safe partner who will support you in your education, or an emotionally safe partner that will help you through your career or through moving towards financial stability, that personal growth can happen. And you may not need to wait that long if you're ready, but it's about finding the right partner. That's what Arab parents, I need you to understand, that if your adult child, they very well may want to get married. Yet, if there's emotionally unsafe partners, they're going to delay this settling down until they can feel secure within themselves. And to me, that's wise, especially for Arab women. Especially for Arab women. All right. You know what's so funny is, okay, I'm going to stop there and take some questions because I think we're going to move towards a part 2. All right, let's see, where are we? I don't even know what's going on in these comments. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me ignore the comments. Okay. Let's see. It takes away from intimacy of the conversation, tone, and body language matters. Yes, thank you. All right. Anybody? I think I'm going to wrap up. I know we had a rough start. I want to acknowledge that on my part when Mita's not here to navigate the comments. Yeah, it's not easy. Next week, I'm going to do part 2, and I'm going to talk about loneliness, grief, identity, different reflection questions. What is our emotional responsibility? I'm also going to go over ways to recognize a healthy partner. So look out for part 2. So anybody have any final thoughts on what we talked about today? All right. Well, I wish you all a very nice day and a good evening wherever you are in the world. And just know that we will be leaving TikTok August 15th. So for anyone that's interested in continuing to look at this information, today was a really good example of why I'm completely getting off of TikTok. And you can find me on Instagram and YouTube. And then we are going to be creating this community even closer by ensuring the containers so that we don't have this level of negativity. And so stay tuned for that. We'll be launching something in September. All right. I wish everybody the best. Take care.